Why on earth is there a wrecked Hummer now in our yard? I'll tell you. So, a friend at work was in the process of selling this through payments to his brother-in-law, and his brother-in-law smashed in the back of somebody. And no, we're not really in the market for a 2004 Hummer, or really the iron block that's in it. It's a 6-liter. But this isn't just your average, hang on, ugly Hummer. It's got a blower on it. Look at that. So we decided to pull the trigger on it. This is a Magna blower, which I think is currently owned by Magnuson. I'm not sure if they always were. We can't find a ton of information. This style of blower, Supercharger, whatever you want to call it, for a 2004 Hummer 6-liter LS runs about $7 grand. So we paid a little less than half of that for this entire monster, which means we're getting a motor, a transmission, and a transfer case because this was an all-wheel drive truck. Transfer case is already spoken for, motor I think we're gonna keep, transmission's for sale, and literally everything else on this sucker is for sale too. It's already been kind of, a couple people have already ravaged it already. But yeah, this is our next project while we're waiting for the Scout chassis to come back from sandblasting, is take the drivetrain out of this thing so we can get this big behemoth out of my yard because it's quite hideous. I'm sorry if you're a Hummer person. I am not one of those people, but that's kind of a little bit of an exciting investment right here. And that exciting investment is gonna make the F100 a touch more nose heavy, but the specs that we can find on this type of supercharger for this motor says it'll give 120 extra horsepower and 120 extra foot-pounds of torque at 6 psi. Do we expect to get that? No, because honestly I think most of these companies overinflate their numbers a little bit, but heck, even if it's 80 or 90, it's a fraction of the cost of what we would if we were to buy a brand new supercharger for the F100, and it's certainly a fraction of the cost of buying a brand new stroker motor like we did for the Chevelle. So I'm kind of excited. We'll see how it goes. It's going to be a little bit of a extra project we weren't anticipating, but hey, if we can make a little bit of money on top of what we paid for this, we're not going to break even and we're not going to actually make any money on this project, but we are getting a supercharger and an iron block, so we're making out on the deal, I think. But yeah, that's what we're going to be doing next, is supercharging the F100. Stay tuned for that. Today is our wedding anniversary, so of course we are tearing shit apart and working in the shop, because it just wouldn't be any other way. We're going to be tearing the motor apart. Well, not really. Taking the intake off mostly in preparation for that. It is a Magna Charger that we took off of a 2000 something Hummer.
Yeah, 2004 Hummer.
That had been in a rear end collision, and we took the motor and I guess we just kept the motor and the supercharger.
The important stuff.
The important stuff. It was from somebody we knew, so we knew that the motor ran before it was
crushed.
Well, before it crushed something else.
Yeah.
And yeah, we're gonna see what my little 6-liter sounds like with it on. So let's get started. Nose is off, intake is off, and we're ready for the next step. We will have to be modifying our current radiator setup. Mike's initial plan was to put the intercoolers up here in front of core support. However, the way that Ford attached the grills to the F100s back in the day, it would make it not impossible, but very difficult for us to try and modify that in order to get that to work in the front. So I think what we're going to be doing is moving the radiator back, putting the coolers in front of the radiator, and then just kind of creating some ducting or whatever around the stock opening to try and make sure we're maximizing airflow to all of the different coolers and stuff. So yeah, next step. Light as a feather.
Light as a feather. Went in where it's supposed to be.
Are the plates where they're supposed to be?
No, of course not.
No, it already looks like the plates are not where they're supposed to be. I can tell you that already.
Oh, I knew that.
Take 3. End of day 1, and that's where we're at. It's in. It's
Bolted in.
bolted in. It's bolted in.
That was a challenge in itself.
Right. We, as usual, had to modify more than what we were anticipating. It was not just a direct bolt-on, even though I have truck accessories on this motor. But we made it work because we have all of, well, maybe not all of, I wouldn't want to jinx ourselves. We have a lot of LS bits here at the shop throughout all of our LS swap experiences that we've had here. So we had to replace whatever the hell that line is.
The steam ports.
Yeah,
We had
that steam
trick
ports.
flow steam ports, but they interfered with the lower intake on the blower, which is annoying.
We had to change out the map sensor.
Well, that was a change back because we were running. We changed it when we ran the LS3 intake because it ran a different map sensor. So then we had to put it back to what it was originally. And luckily, I kept that in the pack rat, so we had it.
Yes, a pack rat is an understatement. But we've got, I think, all of the electrical bits plugged in to the supercharger anyway. A lot of plumbing left to do, a lot of figuring out for that, which I already talked about. And yeah, we're not going to make go fast noises for a little bit, but
Made a lot of progress.
made pretty good progress for what, 3 hours, 4 hours?
Mm-hmm.
So at least we're started. And then see how far we get next time. So it's time to go in and make some burgers and relax for the rest of our anniversary. So we will see you on whenever. I don't know, when are we going to get back out here? Maybe tomorrow after work, maybe not. Depends on how work goes.
Yeah.
But yeah, progress, progress, progress. So we just rebuilt the air intake out of 2 different pieces of tubing, but whatever. And the air filter is going to sit right here, which technically has a factory hole in the core support, but we're going to make it much larger, and it shouldn't compromise any structural integrity, and it shouldn't interfere with anything we have going on back there. And if you look at the grill, it's going to live like right here, so it'll get plenty of air from both this pocket and this pocket. Haven't really had cooling issues necessarily, but more air, more better.
Especially cool air.
Yeah, especially cool air.
Especially with that.
And we've already talked about kind of blocking some of this off and funneling more air to it that's going to be coming in through these pockets as well. So yeah. That's probably a project for another day because it's Father's Day, but any little bit of progress is progress. Now he's going to drill a hole in my truck.
Yeah, should work.
To start.
Yeah.
Backfire there at the end. We are out here somewhere in Mexico doing some testing on the Supercharger after we put a new fuel system in. Well, not a fuel system, but a new fuel pump in. It didn't have enough fuel pump, so we're out here with the good old farm worker. There he goes. Having a grand old time in this blazing Arizona summer heat. So we're pretty stoked with the progress, and man, I can't wait to see how this does next racing season. So as usual, guys, thanks for following along. Thanks for your patience. We've been really slow with videos, but we've had a lot going on with life, so that's just, it is what it is, and we got more coming, promise.
Fast. Stupid fast.
A lot of fun, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think we made the farm guys happy.
Oh yeah.